on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Chicago Bulls and Orlando Magic game reaction. The Chicago Bulls finally, what feels like it's been ages, even though it hasn't been, it finally comes back to the United Center to play at home against the Orlando Magic, and a full credit goes out to the Orlando Magic for putting up a hell of a fight against the Chicago Bulls. He did not play their greatest game once again, but the Bulls win once again, extending their winning streak to 8 in a row, which was the first time that that's been done in a decade of basketball for the Chicago Bulls. So a great accomplishment there. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today. Who was your player of the game? Did you think the returns worked well for the Chicago Bulls? And what do you expect going into the next game when we have a few days off against the Washington Wizards coming up? We won this game 102-98. Anytime you verse one of the lower teams in the Eastern Conference, you always got to be careful that you don't play to the standards of that team. And I thought the Chicago Bulls kind of fell into that a little bit, had a very slow start to the game, 0 from 8 from the three-point line, and all of that sort. Wasn't exactly a terrific start offensively, and we never really picked it up offensively. We had some good scoring bursts. You got a couple of plays that came alive in certain quarters, but the offense was not consistent today. The biggest consistent of our game today was the defensive end of the ball for the Chicago Bulls. The Orlando Magic came into this game with players out from protocols, some big injuries happening to their team, and they're very young in total already, so they're not going to come out and try to, I guess, outscore you or try to beat you offensively. They have a lot to do in order to win these types of games. They're just not at the talent level that the Chicago Bulls are, and I thought the talent level of our team and our defensive mindset is what ended up getting us the win today. Because again, anytime you hold a team to under 100 points, you're most likely going to win that game. Although it was a very close game, and although the Bulls did not end up having a great game themselves, the defense really helped the Chicago Bulls team to win this game. This is a game last year the Bulls would have lost just because our defense was not catching up to our offense at times. Our defense was strong. We went out to the perimeter. We made sure we stopped them from the perimeter. The paint defense wasn't bad either today as well, and we won a very important game. We extended the win streak to 8 on a day where the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks have lost their respective games. We have now climbed our way to the top of the Eastern Conference, and we have a little bit of breathing room in that area as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, all in all, I cannot complain with how good the Chicago Bulls have played today, or how good the win is for the Bulls today, I should say. It's good to see Lonzo Ball and Alfonso McKinnie back in today's game, although there's still a lot of improvement that needs to be done in terms of those two players. We didn't see Alfonso McKinnie as much. Lonzo had a very up and down game, to say the least. I'll tell you about that more in the individual performances. But we have more players back, which means we've got more bodies, more people that can come in and contribute. More players will get some rest, and it's a little bit of breathing room for the Chicago Bulls as well, just because we do have that break, and now we have players coming back, and we'll have even more players coming back by the time the Washington Wizards game comes around, which is very perfect for the Chicago Bulls. And again, it's a worrying sign that we've played 3 games in a row, not our best basketball, but it's also a good sign knowing that in those 3 games that we played poorly, we've won all 3. So it's a bit of an up and down situation there as well. You could be worried that the Bulls have not played basketball well consistently over this period of time. But you could also be very positive that they've won all those 3 games. Despite them not playing well, you know that they're going to eventually pick it up. It's just a matter of when, not if. And that's the important thing for the Chicago Bulls. But with that being said, let's now look at the individual performances today, ladies and gentlemen. Starting off with DeMar DeRozan, who had 29 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal in today's game. He shot 45% from the field, and he ended up only making 7 out of 13 free throws. So a lot of his free throws missed today for the Chicago Bulls. Something we usually never see from him is something that he did provide today. The efficiency wasn't always there for DeMar DeRozan in today's game. Again, he scored a lot in spurts, but he didn't have a terrifically great game today. But yet he still ended up having a 29-point game and another victory for the Chicago Bulls. So again, he's still delivering on the court even when he's not playing well. He's still making an impact, and he's still being a very diverse player. He did not end up having a great assist assist game today. A lot of that has to do with a lot of our other players moving the ball, and again, we'll get to that when we talk about Lonzo Ball. But DeMar was fine today. There's not really too much else to say. It's a good victory for the Chicago Bulls, and DeMar DeRozan played a factor. That's all I could really say on the situation. I thought he had a decent game in tonight's performance. Nikola Vucevic had 13 points, 17 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks. The only real issue I have with Nikola Vucevic is that the percentage needs to get a little bit higher in terms of the center position. Again, he had a lot of shots that would have been seen as easy for a center of his caliber, and there were a couple of shots that he just missed. Overall, again, he's someone that is really making an impact as that third or fourth scoring option on any given night, and I thought he did okay today. Again, his last few rebounding performances have been outstanding for the Chicago Bulls, so you can't complain about that on the rebounding end. I thought his defense was fairly good today, in my opinion, especially in the final stretches of the game. He made a big impact defensively as the center for the Chicago Bulls. It's just the percentages that needs to get boosted up. If we could see 13 on much more efficiency, we could definitely see a better game from Nikola Vucevic overall, but not a bad game to say the least as well. Zach LaVine had 27 points, 3 rebounds, no assist, 1 steal. Again, I would like to see DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, for the amount of time they have the ball in their hands, to move the ball a little bit more. It's very unfortunate that they combined for only 2 assists and they're your 2 best players. So that's something that I think they need to look at and really work on in terms of trying to get more players involved in the action. Again, they both scored at a very okay level. Again, Zach LaVine was 42% from the field, 44% from the three-point line, came alive in the third quarter and definitely took us on a run in that quarter. But again, we needed to see a little bit more passing from those two, a little bit more assist numbers from those two. It doesn't help when players don't make their shots, but when they do make their shots and you still get 0 or 2 assists in the game, it's not really a great level of their performances as well. Yes, they can score the ball with the best of them, but as the best players on the team, as the players that have the ball in their hands the majority of the time, I think it's fair to say you just have to keep on trying to get the ball movement going, trying to play a team game, and that's something that they both need to work on from today's game alone. Again, I'm not talking about any of the previous games. In this specific game, I think they need to work a little bit more on their ball movement, and they'll have a little bit of time off to work on it. Lonzo Ball had 3 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals in today's game. Lonzo Ball, out of, I guess, defensively was really good, and we really missed his defensive presence in the game. We missed his steals, we missed his transition play as well. 7 assists, and most of them came from the transition play, came from full court passes to LaVine, came from getting the rebound and running out in transition, passing it to certain players, which is always a positive sign if you're Lonzo Ball, and that's truly the key aspect of him that we missed. Defensively, outside of the last foul for the 3-point play, I thought he was tremendous. Offensively, he has a lot of work to do on the scoring end. Again, it's his first game back from these protocols. He's missed quite a few games out from that, so I'm not expecting the world from Lonzo Ball in his return. He only shot 1 from 8 from the field today and 1 from 7 from the 3-point line. We have seen games like this from Lonzo Ball before where the scoring isn't there, but he does make good impacts everywhere else. And again, he was the leading man in terms of assists today, and it wasn't even close. No one else came close to the assist numbers that he had. I would love to see Lonzo Ball take it to the paint a little bit more. The only shot he took in the I guess the key is the mid-range. He took a moving mid-range shot, missed the shot. I'd love to see Lonzo Ball attack the paint. Again, there's no one on the Orlando Magic outside of Wendell Carter in today's game that's going to block Lonzo Ball's shot. So I'd love to see him push into the paint and just see a little bit of what we saw when he was in the first time around and didn't go out from protocols. He attacked the paint, he was very aggressive in his dribble, and it opens up a lot of his game for him. So that's what I want to see continue to work on for Lonzo. But in his first game back from the health protective protocols, I'm not really going to slander him too much or say anything negative about him. We just need to see a little bit more aggression. That's what I want to see in the next game, and let's see if he can pick it up in that area. Derrick Jones Jr. has 7 points and 5 rebounds as the starting power forward today. He didn't play a lot of minutes in this game, only 21 minutes. Those minutes were shared between players like Kobe White, players like Troy Brown Jr. and Ayo. Very well balanced movement and minutes in those for those players today. But with 7 points and 5 rebounds, I think this is a very good game for Derrick Jones Jr. It did look like he hurt his ankle at the end of the game, so hopefully that is nothing serious as well. We cannot keep seeing more injuries for the Chicago Bulls. It's already bad enough that we have Tyler Cook out, and I don't want to see Derrick Jones Jr. go out again from an injury. That'll be very upsetting to see, because he is a big part of the team. He's stepping in as the starting power forward. He's very athletic. He helps us in transition. He does a lot for the Chicago Bulls team that may not be seen on the stat sheet as well defensively. So he is a big miss if we do miss any time with him. But again, hopefully it's nothing serious, and hopefully the amount of days that we have off now so we can practice, recover, recuperate, and just try and get more chemistry up for the Chicago Bulls will be enough time to see him play as well. He did get a steal. It was a very decent night, I would say, for Derrick Jones Jr. Someone I'm extremely proud of, ladies and gentlemen, moving into the bench, Coby White had 17 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists with a block in today's game. He was by far the most efficient player on the team with 63% from the field and 40% from the three-point line, and arguably is my player of the game in today's game. Again, I'm not going to make that decision right away, but it's great to see that we've seen a game from Coby White like this off of the bench. One of the biggest worries is that since he's starting at the point guard position and he's had to step up in big ways in that area, if he can translate a very similar game coming off the bench. No one's expecting 24, 25, 30 points from Coby White off the bench every night. You know, it's not possible for someone to average that much off of the bench unless you're literally one of the best players in the bench in the NBA. And at times when players do average the 20-point mark, they are better than the starters on that team, but they're playing off of the bench. So Coby White is in a situation where he has to take his game and make it make sense off of the bench. He has to become a bench scorer. He has to find a way to facilitate off the bench. He still had a lot of opposition. He still had a lot of opportunity on this team to play as a guard, as a point guard, and a shooting guard. He played both positions today, and he played very well. Again, he's another player that came alive in the second half. His efficiency went all the way up, and he was just really good in today's game. You can't really ask much more from Coby White, dropping 17 points off of the bench and kind of leading the way for this bench in many ways, because outside of him, the bench scoring wasn't terrific. Troy Brown Jr. had 3 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. I really thought out of everybody outside of Lonzo Ball, Troy Brown Jr.'s defense was the biggest standout in today's game. Those two players really made the biggest impact on the defensive end. I thought as soon as Troy Brown Jr. came into the game, it's almost like the game has changed. And you don't see that a lot with Troy Brown. You don't see the game change dramatically when he's on the floor. But today, the game changed. He was able to stand in front of his man. He was able to deter a lot of shots, not necessarily block them, but make them harder to score. And he got a lot of good rebounds and he pushed the tempo. The scoring is still not there for Troy Brown Jr. 1 from 4 is not really great from the bench player that gets 19 minutes in the game. But his defense was a really, really good impact in the game today. And that's definitely an underrated part of his game that he should get a lot more credit for. And again, today he showed it. So I'm really impressed with his defense. His offense still needs a lot of work. Ayo Dosunmu had 3 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. A very quiet game from Ayo in this one. Only took 2 shots, I believe, in this game, and he made 1 of them. Not really a great game from Ayo Dosunmu in total, but again, what can you really do in this situation when you do have a lot of players taking a lot of shots and you leave Ayo with only 2 shots in the game? I think Ayo needs to be a little bit more aggressive in his shot. I think his teammates need to find him more. He's a very good offensive weapon if you get him going. He's someone that runs out in transition with the best of them. He's someone that can finish around the rim. He's a good 3-point shooter, especially from the corners. Get him a little bit more shots and see what he can do. I think 2 shots is not enough for Ayo, but at the end of the day, I don't know whose fault it is for that. I think it could be LaVine's and DeRozan's and the starting lineup for not really moving the ball as much as recent games. Maybe it's Ayo for being hesitant in his shot. I'm not really sure. But we definitely need to see a lot more shots given to Ayo so he can make a better impact on the floor. McKinney only played 7 minutes and got 2 rebounds. He was good for the time that he came on. But again, this is not the game that makes me fully convinced that he should play a little bit more. At the end of the day, you don't have much minutes in the game. You can't really ask for a lot of impact with 7 minutes on the floor in the 4th quarter, no less, very late on in the game. It is what it is. He just missed a shot. It's as simple as that. Looking at the must improve, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to give it to Ayo Dosunmu. Again, it's only because he's just not being aggressive enough. enough and the shots are not going to him. And that's a team fault as well. It's very similar to Lonzo Ball when he wasn't involved in second halves of games. You could put that down to the team, and you could also put it down to the lack of aggressiveness from a player. With Ayo, you can put it down to the team not giving him the ball enough. Again, the only player that really passed him the ball for his shot was Kobe White. And he returned the same thing with his 1 assist to Kobe White as well. People saying they can't play well together. They ended up doing well with each other in today's game. But we need to see a lot more out of Ayo with 19 minutes. He's one of the better players in terms of scoring on this team. I would arguably say he's better than Troy Brown Jr. as a scorer. He's probably better than Derrick Jones Jr. as a scorer as well. So he has the potential to be a very good scorer in the league and run out in transition, get some layups and all of that. But he's just not been aggressive enough these last few games. So that's definitely something he needs to work on, and that is why he is my must improve. The player of the game for me is DeMar DeRozan, ladies and gentlemen. 29 points with 2 assists. Overall, his percentages weren't terrifically great for the Chicago Bulls, but again, I guess you could say nobody's percentage outside of Kobe White was great, and I really think Kobe White is a true candidate for player of the game today, and let me know if you give it to Kobe White. But with DeMar DeRozan, again, the fourth quarter is his time to shine. I wish he made more free throws just so this game ended a little bit earlier than what we saw. Again, this game down to the last couple of seconds for the Chicago Bulls, but at the end of the day, he did deliver when it mattered the most. He is someone that has the most fourth quarter points in terms of the NBA, with a lot less games played compared to other players in that list. So he has a lot of big accomplishments in this game and in this team in total. So again, he stepped up when it mattered the most. He is my player of the game, and Kobe White is not far behind him in that category. But the Bulls continue their win streak. All of the negatives you could put in front of them, the Bulls extend their win streak to 25 and... where our record is 25-10, and we extend our winning streak to 8. I'm really intrigued to see when this comes to an end. Will it come to an end in the next game? We obviously have a very tough week ahead of us in the upcoming week for the Chicago Bulls. It's not going to be an easy week outside of Washington. And then you got games like the Nets. You got Pistons. I believe they moved the Pistons game to next week as well. So there's going to be a back-to-back for the Bulls there in that area. It's not an easy game, not an easy week for the Chicago Bulls. We've got teams like the Wizards, the Mavericks, the Nets and the Warriors, the Pistons, the Celtics. Very, very tough games ahead against good opposition. And again, I expect the Chicago Bulls to hold their own, just like they held their own in November. But I'm really intrigued to see, when does this winning streak end? When does it come to an end for the Bulls? Do we extend it to double digits? Can we extend it to double digits? Is the next game the one to go? But at the end of the day, you got to keep this win streak for as long as possible, because we are doing some incredible things in terms of winning some games when we're playing poorly, and of course winning games when we're playing well. And this is something that good teams do, and these are things that what we're seeing now great teams do. So we have one of the best win streaks in the NBA at the moment. Let's see if we can keep it up. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Our next game will be against Washington, ladies and gentlemen, so be on the lookout for that. Their buzzer beater, obviously, we scored against them away from home, is something that they're not going to forget about, and they have a quick opportunity to come back and strike against the Chicago Bulls. This will be at the United Center, so I expect a much better performance from the Bulls side of things this time around, and let's see how we go against a very decent Washington Wizards side in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care.